Hello and good morning. Welcome to another episode of Health and Wellness 360 with TFal and Chi. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining us from. Please let us know where you're joining us from. Type it in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from this morning. Welcome.
And good to see all of you. And we're in North Carolina.
Yes.
So if you're in Japan, if you're in New York, if you're in Houston, Texas,
Chicago,
Nigeria,
let us know. Thank you so much for joining us. So before we get started, we'd just like to thank you. We'd like to acknowledge and just remember the victims of recent episodes of gun violence and their families, and may their souls rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right. So
what are we talking about today, honey?
We're talking about mental health and how we preserve our mental health. But before we get started, for some of you who may be joining us for the first time, my name is TFal. I am an infectious disease physician, a podcaster, a wellness coach, and the other half of TFal and Chi LLC. I'm joined by my husband, Chi.
Yes. Hi, everyone. And I'm Chi, and I'm a health and wellness expert with a focus on nutrition, mental health, and physical exercise, and how that all impacts you being your very best of yourself. Or we call it the very best version of yourself.
Of yourself.
Yeah, and it's not just about you, but your family, your loved ones. How do we inculcate a healthy lifestyle? And not just something we do on the side, but something we do on an everyday basis, living and breathing it every day.
Absolutely.
Right?
And our mission is to make you the best version of yourself. And we do that in a variety of ways, including this, where we have this show where we discuss important health topics and a variety of things. And you can follow us how to find us. But today, we're really going to be talking about how do we optimize and preserve our mental health. There's so much going on. And so in a very brief time with you today, we're going to talk about why our mental health is important, natural ways in which we can improve our mood, optimize our mental health, preserve our mental health, and some of the signs of chronic stress that indicate something is going on. So before we get started, we'll just like to know on a scale of, and thank you. How are you feeling today? Check in with us.
Yeah. And honey, we need to let them know how to reach us as well.
Correct. So absolutely.
If you're on Facebook, on Instagram at TFal and Chi, on Facebook and Instagram, and www.tfalandchi.com is our website. And especially just want to thank all of you who have been reaching out to us via social media or through email. We really appreciate you. It is because of you we can do what we do. We bleed, and this is a passion, trying to make changes one human at a time.
Absolutely.
So this excites about what we do. So just reach out anytime. We do, employee health. We can work with you one-on-one. Just consult with us. We do, cooking shows. So we want you to be the very best version of you. So
absolutely.
Let's go.
Yes. So we just wanted, great. Somebody said, feeling morning good as I would. Yes. So, are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you feeling like 10? I'm good to go. My physical, mental, everything's all great. 1 is like, I can barely get out of bed, and somewhere in between. And we'll just see what those numbers are. But really, again, we're just trying to get a sense of, since we can't be in the physical room with you. And we hope at the end of this 30 minutes together, you have practical tips and tools that you can take into your day and kind of move things that way. So, Chi, I'm going to start off by asking you, what are some of the natural ways in which we can boost our mood, manage our stress? We'll talk about those pillars before we delve into them. So what are some of those?
Actually, before I jump into that, I just want to share that my wife is the best physician, best advocate, super wife. And, she actually gets my mental health where it needs to be. She's my best friend. So we're going to be talking about mental health today, as she noted, and sharing how we manage ours. She's a huge part of how I manage my mental health, because she keeps me feeling my very best all the time. So in terms of what you ask, in terms of how natural ways that we manage her mental health. So nutrition is a huge piece. If you don't do anything at all, nutrition is a big piece of your mental health. And we're going to dive into a lot of that as well. Exercise, being able, finding ways, what does exercise mean to you? Is it yoga? Is it taking a walk? Different things. We're going to dive into that as well. We're also going to talk about social connections. Who do you surround yourself with? Your tribe. Who's your friend? Who's your partner? Who are people that make you smile and be your very best, right? So all this, avoiding substances, nicotine and different things, and illicit drugs, alcohol that actually impact your mood and the way you feel and think for the most part. So there are natural ways we can, enhance our mental health, and things you can also do to make sure they're optimized.
Absolutely. That was a lot. And we are going to delve into that. Absolutely. And so what you can get, we're talking about natural ways that you can manage certain things, right? So we talk about there's a lot of stress in the world we live in. There's a lot of things going on in the what we call the macro environment outside of us, stresses that are coming from society. But we're talking about things you can do within you and also in your micro environment, your family and the people around you, to optimize your health. Absolutely. Right. So in terms of managing that, let's dive into nutrition. Okay. So you talked about how all of those things are connected, but nutrition, what can we do with our nutrition?
So nutrition is a big piece, like I said, is a big piece of who you are and actually how you feel, move, and think. So in terms of nutrition, limiting things like processed foods, processed sugars, simple sugars. So assuming you have a sweet tooth, like a lot of people do, instead of doing simple sugars like processed sugars, over 75% of what you find in the stores have added sugars and additives in them. So trying to learn how to find your natural sugars from fruits, from vegetables, from raw nuts, getting the different things, from natural sources, from the most basic natural sources, is very impactful. And actually, honey, why don't you just share a little bit about what we've been doing lately about planting and gardening as well?
And so, when you garden and you plant and if you can, grow certain things, if you have the space, that actually ends up being a combination of nutrition and physical activity and getting sunlight, all of those things, sun therapy and things like that, really helpful. But you bring up a point. A lot of times when we're stressed or we're dealing with stuff, we go for processed things, a lot of sugar and fried foods. And those actually, if we think about it, impair our mood. I mean, how many times have you gotten done eating some things and you just feel like you just want to crash, you're not optimized, it affects your sleep, it makes you feel a little sluggish. So we know that serotonin, right? A lot of serotonin is important for our mood.
Correct.
And it's synthesized in the gut.
Sure. So let me I'm glad you brought that up. So quick example. There was a study out of Stanford University about inmates who were provided a certain kind of food. Some were provided the basic foods, the starchy foods and carbohydrates that typically you find in those systems, and then some were provided foods that impacted their gut health, natural foods, vegetables, and all that. They come to find that those who are getting vegetables and natural foods, the level of violence and the level of anxiety and stress was way down, completely way down. And those who kept eating the processed foods still maintained the level of their anxiety and stress that they exhibited all the time. This was just a study out of Stanford University, just with a cohort of people.
And there's so many of our colleagues in psychiatry who are managing people on medications who are now realizing that in addition to that by altering our gut bacteria, we talk about the gut brain, that we synthesize a lot of good hormones. There's certain foods, right, that give you a lot of tryptophan and serotonin. What are some of those? I give you
we think about turkey, right? Turkey, you eat turkey, and how do you feel after you eat turkey, right? You feel like you're relaxed and things like that, right? Melatonin is also a good one. There are foods that actually help your body release these hormones. Starchy and processed foods do not allow your body to release these things. Then we go to processed sources to get those quick jolts, either through alcohol, through illicit drugs, through junk food. And so just trying to find ways to eat more naturally, because when you go to a store, if the food have you ever seen a banana that has an expiration date?
You'll tell when it's expired.
You tell when it's expired. There's
Yes.
no need because it rots, right?
It rots.
Yeah, but you have those canned foods and it says it will expire 2 years from now. Why do you think it has those dates? Because it's got additives, it's got sugars, it's got fats to keep it in that state and preservatives for so long, which is harmful to your system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you and I can talk about nutrition for a whole hour, but again, like you said, just nutrition and looking at whole foods, natural foods, because those really enhance and help our mood. The other thing we'll talk about is exercise and physical activity. And why is that important? Because I know for sure that when I'm stressed, or when just even ways to release those that stress is getting exercise and your natural endorphins and hormones. And so how is exercise a big part of feeling better?
Of course. So when you exercise, right, like my wife noted, your body releases those hormones that make you feel like you're Superman for the most part, right? Superwoman, right? Because my wife is going to keep me honest all the time.
I know,
right?
Superman and Superwoman. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So it's one of those things where exercising allows your body to release hormones that allow you to feel your best, allow you to sleep better, allow you to be a better friend, a better spouse, a better partner, a better sister, dad, mom, and all that. So, and it's not just exercise once in a while. We find that, for instance, people who live in blue zones around the world, right? Exercise, movement was so important to them. Movement. And the movement could come in various ways. You don't have to be at a gym. You don't have to just take a walk. You could be just someone who loves to dance. You could be just somebody who loves yoga, Tai Chi, gardening,
biking,
hiking, So anything that forces your body to move is going to be important because your body requires movement. You have to think your body as an engine, right?
Yes.
Your body requires movement so that food can find its way to all the organs until it's eliminated. So for instance, studies show that those who are sitting for X amount of time, their bodies are mimicking metabolic state of people who actually smoke.
Yeah.
So sitting is the new smoking. So you've got to move and move and move as much as you can.
And it helps. Multiple studies showing the impact of physical activity on our mood and mental health. So important. But you tie that into the next one, which is sleep, which I'll take. How, when you eat well or you don't, and you're not exercising, how it impacts your sleep. One of the things that gets to get affected when we're stressed sometimes is sleep, right? People are sleeping too much or can't sleep. But one of the things that helps you sleep better is actually exercising. When you exercise during the day, you're better likely to sleep better at night. Sleep is it's an underappreciated medication for our bodies. Our minds, our bodies reset. We did an episode on sleep. Phenomenal. But when you sleep better, you're able to get up and move the next day. Your nutrition is better. However, you can see how all of this, we talk about it's all connected.
Yeah.
When you eat foods that keep you hyper or make you bloated, then you can't sleep, then you don't want to exercise, and you reach out for something and it just keeps looping up. So sleep is an important part. And if you haven't seen the episode on sleep, it's a big part of managing our mental health. And it's one of the first things that gets disrupted if we're stressed.
And it's not just, and sleep has to be sufficient and restorative to be good. So it's got to be sufficient and restorative when you sleep, right? So that, because when we don't, it impacts so many parts of our lives, right? I become moody, I become anxious, I make poor decisions. So you can think about how a lack of sleep impacts you, and not just your mood and the way you think and feel, but also
your immune system,
weight gain or weight loss, the different things. And because it impacts us all differently, and your body begins to build up cortisol.
Yes.
And it's hard to fight off cortisol when it begins to build up. And where does it build up?
It builds up in your mid-abdomen. It causes metabolic issues. And, there are certain foods, like foods that have a lot of magnesium, that help metabolize cortisol so that the cortisol isn't staying in your system too long. So things like pumpkin seeds and spinach and bananas, broccoli, that have a lot of magnesium in them, help with relaxation. They help with your sleep.
Mhm.
They help with, so when we talk about foods, we're back again, we keep harping on nutrition because they're foods that help with how your hormones break down and how they work, that help with your gut and all that. Speaking of sleep, then we're moving into something that you're licensed in and stuff, with meditation and mindfulness. How can we use that to manage our stress?
Yes. So I'm a licensed psychotherapist. So, when in treatment, when you work with people who, need, first of all, I just want to make this clear. If you're dealing with a serious stress or mental health issue, it's very important to, talk to a practitioner.
Absolutely.
Talk to somebody who can help you in that space. But absent that, if it's just because stress is actually good for our being.
Correct.
But not when we're stressed
constantly.
It can't be chronic. When chronic stress becomes who you are, then depression sets in. All our bodies are required to respond to stimuli.
All the
stress.
Time. And there are things, events that stress us out, the activities that stress us, the external things that make us our mood low. That's normal and that's natural. But in terms of untreated chronic stress that needs to be managed, again, and we'll talk towards the end about signs of more severe symptoms and how you need to reach out to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, the people that need to be on medications. And these are just natural ways to boost our mood, whether or not you're on medications, things that also help, right? Even people with diagnosed psychiatric disorders, now more people in the field are realizing that, yes, while people are on medications, we can talk about gut bacteria and their nutrition and getting sunlight, because all of those things are helpful. Making sure that people can sleep well because it improves their mood. So you were talking about meditation and mindfulness and how.
Actually, before we move on, I'm just going to share in terms of, you talk about sunlight and all that.
Yes, light therapy.
Light therapy is super important. You find that people who live in area parts of the world where you don't have a lot of sun have the highest rates of suicide. So sun is very important for your mood. Vitamin D, super important. So think about that all the time.
Correct. And if you happen to live in like a place like Chicago or places where there's not a lot of sun all the time, people have sun therapy. I remember sometimes in college, they'll have kids, even sun lights, beam lights, because sun therapy does something with our brain, with our hormones synthesized. And if you can't get out there during the day, even if for 30 minutes during the day, if the rest of the time you're doing your exercise within the house, staying active, getting sun is important. Our brains need that.
And 5 minutes of sun is literally sufficient. If you're out in the sun for 5 minutes, it's actually sufficient for what you need for the brain for the day. So, because you want to also be mindful of skin problems,
skin cancer,
and all that. So 5 minutes of sunlight should do the trick every day.
And something popped up that we saw, which was the next one we're going to talk about, the importance of, you talked about it at the beginning, your tribe, your social connection. Somebody put up there, protect your peace. How important is that? I saw that. Protect your peace on purpose.
Nikita, thank you.
Thank you for saying that, because that was one of the things in terms of natural ways that you have control over to manage your mental health.
And thank you for sharing that. So protecting your peace means being okay with saying no to things.
And people.
You don't have to feel obligated to meet every demand, every event. No. If you can't, you've got to feel okay to say, I'm sorry, I can't meet you today. I love you, but I can't hang out today. I'm just going to be spending some alone time, some quiet time to find that peace. Yeah. Being okay to say no, just saying okay. No to it's fine. It's completely.
Yes. And those social connections. So we talk about keeping each other sane and keeping each other. So it really matters who's in your tribe. It can be family, it can be friends, but people who nurture you, who feed your soul, who check on you, and who are okay when those times when you say no, because they know that this person needs to. And it's important that tribe, right? Just as we talk about the good things you can put in your body to feed your hormones and feed your cells, we talk about the things that are disruptive, right? Very few things are neutral. There are people who are negative and toxic. They may be good people,
Sure.
but our relationships with them have become toxic.
Doesn't work.
And that is draining your mental health. And when your mental health is off, it affects everything else.
Everything. It does.
Everything else. And
It
there's so
does.
much stigma around mental health. May
Yeah.
was Mental Health Awareness
Yeah.
Month. And especially in our community, we have to be okay about talking about managing our stress and our mental health because it is so super important.
Yes, and women more so than men do talk about mental health issues. So, but this should not be a man or woman thing. I think there shouldn't be any stigmas around it. If you feel a certain way, being able to talk about it is fine. Catharsis is fine. Having a cathartic moment is completely fine, right? It allows you to let go. And however way that is healthy to let go, you should practice that, right? And my wife and I, like we said, we garden. That's part of, dealing with, keeping our mental health in a good place. We try to exercise a lot.
If you have pets, we have a dog.
Yeah.
Pets, we learn so much from pets. If you have pets, taking care of someone else, taking care of something else, volunteering your time. But you brought up another point again, over and over again, about the boundaries. And the boundaries on our space, we think about, a lot of times people think about physical boundaries, but boundaries around our mental space. So there are things that we know that are triggers that make us feel bad over and over again. People, situations, remove ourselves. Some of that in terms of...
What if you can't remove yourself? What do you do then?
You learn how to manage your expectations within that, because sometimes you can't remove, it's a toxic work environment. So until you find another job, you got to pay the bills, figure out how to manage that stress, have your optimal nutrition, foods that won't make you even feel in a worse way. But also important to think about identifying those triggers. And sometimes it's social media and the news. The cycle is depressing. It really is. So putting in things in place to guard your mental health in terms of social media, taking time away from the news. You want to be informed, but a lot of times you can't see all that and hear all that and sleep.
You can't.
And then your sleep is impacted. So you have to be intentional, protecting your peace on purpose.
Yeah, because social media is so cyclical. It's 24/7, right? So, and we're being fed different things all the time. And oftentimes, for the past several months, it's been really bad news. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about mental health today, just to try to find ways for you to be able to do it in a natural and safe way, managing your mental health, figure out who makes me laugh the most. Do you know that the more you laugh and smile, the longer you can ward off wrinkles from your face? Do you know that? Because your face has got tons of muscles. So it's almost like exercise. The more you exercise a muscle, it takes a longer time for it to decline and atrophy, right?
Absolutely.
So smile, people who make you laugh and smile all the time.
Correct.
My wife and I joke, we crack each other up all the time. We're literally crazy around each other.
We're like,
but it's good.
10-year-olds. And that's the other thing. Childhood, just going back to simpler times and finding things that make you happy during those times of stress. Dance, have a dance off with someone, choose music from intergenerations, just do stuff, because again, while we will continue to speak up, and we need to, all of us, speak up against the things, the ills in our society, look and advocate, volunteer, do things, we also need to say, what can we do in our micro environment, our home, ourselves? So we've talked about nutrition, we've talked about physical activity, sleep, meditation and mindfulness, your social connections, avoiding substances, and boundary setting. No, so you can say yes to you. Somebody put in there, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't.
And
you just can't.
When we're running on empty, we're the only ones who know.
Sure.
Check in with yourself.
Sure. Even within your immediate family, if you have a partner, if you have kids around you and all that, it's important even for you to set boundaries in that space where I need my time so I can be a better husband to you, so I can be a better dad to you, I can be a better uncle, right? Or whatever the situation is. Everyone needs that time
for
to decompress for themselves.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
And I love that you gave the examples of dad and our husband and uncle, because women, I think, we're more likely to share with each other. and say, girl, I'm stressed. What can I do? A lot of times men are not as expressive. It's important, right?
Yeah.
For us to say it's okay.
It's okay.
For people to say, I'm not feeling good. I need to ask for help. So as we're getting towards the end of the thing, we hope you've learned some of these things.
Honey.
So what are some of the ways stress, chronic or managed stress, can show up? You want to start?
Sure.
And I'll talk about with the kids.
Yeah, so chronic stress can show up in so many different ways. Assuming all of a sudden you show up with a rash, you don't know where it came from, check with your doctor. There could be something going on, because sometimes your body shuts down and all of a sudden it begins to manifest in different ways. All of a sudden you can't produce histamines to block, allergens from the environment, right? So you have to think about that. Or all of a sudden you're losing weight. Something may be going on, or weight gain. So it happens in different ways, right? So you can add weight or you can lose weight. Then sometimes even your color, your skin color begins to change. There are different things that stress will do. Your GI tract, right, slows down completely. Motility just comes to a grinding halt. Then constipation and all that. So there's so many different. You can't sleep.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sleep becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And
your mood is off. You're irritable. You're like angry. Your productivity is off. So stress can show up in so many different ways, and the physical ways. And our children, we have a piece on just talking about children for a sec. Our children don't necessarily have all the ways and tools we have to manage stress. And we talk about it. We blog about it. We call our friends. Let's really, for those of us who have been blessed to be taking care of the next generation, think about the children. They may be hyperactive, they may be withdrawn, some of them may be scared to go out, some of them, let's listen to them. Let's stop the Netflix binge. Let's put the phone down. Let's connect with them, because our children are hurting. There's a lot that's going on that's stressing them out, and we may not know. They don't know the word to say, I'm stressed. So really help them develop coping skills so that they can see how we're doing it. Let's get out with them, get in the sun with them, put down the phone, play a game with them, dance off with them, play their music, play our music, because they need to manage the stress. They're living in a world that is more difficult than we grew up in. And our children really matter, that next generation. So as we end, and before we say where you can find us, if you are dealing with mental health issues, chronic stress, symptoms you don't know, please reach out for help. There's a lot going on, and please reach out for help. If you know someone in your circle who is down, who you think has any of the symptoms, please reach out to them. Call someone. Call your strong friend. There's always that person who is everybody's go-to, and you might be that one. Have somebody reach out to you and reach out to those people. Let's eliminate the stigma around mental health. We talk about physical health. If you're struggling, ask for help, and let us normalize getting therapy.
It's very important.
Let us normalize it.
And something, and sometimes therapy is not just when because you feel sick and you don't. Therapy can just be proactive. Therapy can just be for you to learn how to manage just certain things around who you are around with, right? So just think about that, because a lot of times we think you have to be in a deep, dark place to go to therapy. No, you don't. You don't. My wife and I have utilized therapy in different stages, right? Just to learn about ourselves. You got to learn who you are. It's very important. If you don't know who you are, you can't help someone else. Right?
You can't help yourself.
You can't help
yourself.
Even,
someone had put up there, you teach people how to treat you. But a lot of times we haven't even understood ourselves enough. So how do you tell somebody what you need? So therapy is, and let's normalize it in our community. If you need help, if you need to be on medications, please reach out. Let us normalize, and let's not stigmatize people who are dealing with mental health issues, because that is not going to help us. And then, like you said, we think about, deep, dark place, let's get out there. We don't do that with our cars. We don't wait until they break down before they take them in. We go in and do scheduled maintenance so that when we need to get to that meeting, we don't get in there and the car is broken. And that's what it is. So that when life throws stuff, that macro environment, when life throws stuff, how resilient are you? So we have 1 minute.
1 minute.
What are you doing today to optimize your mental health?
So you can find us www.tfalandchi at tfalandchi, on social media. Follow us, connect with us. We want to help you, walk with you, talk with you. We do pantry checks. If you think you've got stuff in your pantry that you're not sure about, we'll do a virtual check with you. So just consult, check with us. We do employee health. You know, we work with different organizations, you know. So we are here for you. We love you. Thank you for supporting us. We're back again in 4 weeks.
Yes.
This is a passion, and we hope we can help you along your journey.
All right.
See you again.
See you again. And watch our other shows. We've done episodes on all of these things. So they're all connected. All connected. All right. Have a great weekend and take care of yourself.